Congratulations to Spain, World Cup champions. Congratulations to Argentina for making the final. Thank you to all of the teams that entertained us this summer. I think the 48-team World Cup was pretty fun. 64. Don't do it, though. Guys, welcome to the final World Cup video. Really, the final daily recap, the recap of the final that, well, we've seen more entertaining finals. We have, but hey, finals usually aren't that entertaining most of the time. I'll speak more on this at the end, but just a big thank you to everyone who has tuned in, liked the videos, subscribed, everything. It really means a lot to me. More on that later though, like I said, and what's sort of next for the channel. So that's a wrap on the 2026 World Cup, and it ended the way I think many people quietly suspected it might. Spain lifting the trophy and Argentina finally running out of miracles, really. Let's run through the events and then I'll give my thoughts on things at the end. The day began with stuff that I didn't need. If I can be the old man shouting at the cloud here. Jennifer Hudson sang the US anthem. Robbie Williams did FIFA's anthem, I think. Tom Cruise did a welcome address that ran so long that the Argentina supporters started chanting over him. Michael Buffer did his thing as well, or Bruce or whatever, one of the buffers. It made the kickoff 6 minutes late. It was very 2026. It was very FIFA, kind of becoming a parody of itself in a way. Enough berating the clouds though, because once the ball rolled, Spain did what they've done all tournament long. Lamine Yamal had the first look inside 5 minutes, a tight angle shot that clipped Lisandro Martinez's toe on its way into Emi Martinez's lap, basically. Messi's only early sniff came around the same time when Julian Alvarez slipped him through. Unai Simon beat him to the ball, sweeper keeper. That was kind of Argentina's afternoon in one clip. No first half shots, not a single touch in Spain's box, not a single sniff at all. The same thing that Spain did to France, but to another degree, really. Mikel Oyarzabal drilled one straight at Dibu just before the break. Lisandro Martinez collected the game's first booking, then limped off with a thigh problem for Otamendi, which was a problem area for Argentina in general, as Romero would later go off earlier than expected, so they lost both of their starting center backs. So 0-0 at the interval, followed by a 27-minute halftime show featuring Madonna, BTS, Bieber, Shakira. He's yelling at the clouds again. I honestly didn't even watch it. Me and the chat were too busy trying to win the World Cup in that 7-0 game. You guys played that? I keep losing in the final. But with the pre-show and the halftime show, then Buffer doing his ready to rumble shtick, football was almost the undercard, if you will, eh? The second half brought more of the same with little injuries here and there, and Paredes came on at the half for Nico Gonzalez and was booked within minutes for shoving Olmo in the back. He and a few other Argentinians such as Tagliafico and Giuliano really like that move of bashing into a player from behind, straight into the back with the forearm push, which if I was Argentinian, it would be hard to stand by that, man. Enzo did it against England as well, but everyone's different, I guess, right? Olmo then had Spain's best moment attacking-wise, the referee playing advantage through 2 fouls before his shot was spilled behind the goal by Emi Martinez. Spain then kind of emptied the substitutes bench. Pedri, Ferran Torres, Mikel Merino, Nico Williams. Torres headed Yamal's byline cross straight at the keeper, and tempers kept on getting out of control. Messi at one point complaining that Cucurella was talking to him from behind his hand, which was pretty embarrassing, I gotta say, as Cucurella just put his hand to his lips for 1 second. I'm not going to be reactionary and say over-the-top stuff, say stuff like this ruins Messi's tournament, but it is very embarrassing to debase yourself like that, in my opinion. There would be more to this, by the way, more players embarrassing themselves. We'll get to that later. Then the game finally snapped, I guess, deep in stoppage time. Enzo Fernandez, already booked for dissent, by the way, was late to the ball and wiped out Pau Cubarsi and saw a second yellow. Semi-final hero, World Cup final villain, maybe. Not sure Argentina would have won with 11, but you never know, right? Don't get me wrong. Cubarsi going flying was a sell, but it was also 100% a foul with his studs coming into his foot. Right at the death, Yamal's free kick was tipped away and we went goalless into extra time. So, down a man, Argentina pitched camp for penalties. Spain kept trying. Merino missed a free header from like the edge of the 6. Nico Williams had a goal chalked off for a soft foul on Otamendi by Merino. Again, 2 things can be true. Some would say it's incidental contact and not really a foul because of how soft it was. I guess it's also a foul as you stepped on the player's foot in trying to get the ball. So for me, it is a foul. I'm just glad it wasn't decisive because it's kind of a groaner. And it wasn't decisive because in the 106th minute, Williams set up Ferran Torres, who lashed a first-time finish into the roof of the net, 1-0. And can I say, I am the star of the World Cup for guessing it would be 1-0. And during the stream, I said so many times Ferran Torres would score the winner. So I am now the supercomputer. I took his job. Thank you, everybody. Torres even had a second ruled out for a tight offside soon after, and while Argentina did stir at the death, Simeone blazing one over in the final seconds, really, that was the ball game, as they say in America. So, Spain are world champions for the second time, the first since 2010, having conceded just 1 goal all tournament. Argentina somehow played 120 plus minutes of a World Cup final without a shot on target. Messi's final World Cup match ends in disappointment, while Lamine Yamal has now won both a Euro and a World Cup at the age of 19, and that is insane. That further embarrassment I was talking about after the final whistle, Leandro Paredes, just complete and utter embarrassment, trying to fight with Spanish players, throwing Gavi to the ground like the big man he is. Shameful, shameful stuff from some of those Argentinian players. I don't want to group them all together. It was some of those players showing that they don't know how to lose, which is, I mean, like I said, it's a shame. That fighting spirit that takes them over the line in matches is a bit of a double-edged sword for some of those players, I guess. A bit of a wild tournament, really, for Argentina, which I know a lot of people will start sifting through their tournament with a fine-tooth comb and looking at the opponents they played on the way to the final. But look, they were still one of the best teams in this tournament. You absolutely cannot deny that. They provided tons of entertainment. Messi really played an incredible tournament with 8 goals and 4 assists. Like I went over in the preview and predictions for this final, he was a way better player than the one who was lifting the trophy back in 2022. Argentina were clearly missing my favorite player, El Fideo Angel Di Maria. Clearly missing him. They have him, they win. Before we get to Spain, the awards, young player of the tournament was Pau Cubarsi, which I am totally fine with, and I think very much deserved, as he was excellent all tournament long. Unai Simon wins the best goalkeeper, Golden Glove, whatever it is. If we look at the amount of saves that were required, he didn't have to make that many, but as I waxed lyrical about in the preview, he commands the box, he reads the game better than most keepers, so I'm cool with that, but I'm sure there's a Justice for Vozinha campaign starting very soon. Player of the tournament, Rodri, which I didn't really expect, but I guess I'm fine with that. Ultimately, these awards are silly anyway, so it's not a huge deal to me. And yeah, Rodri was really good. If we're looking at the player who was the most important to his team's victory at this tournament, when you word it that way, it makes sense because Rodri was integral to how Spain played. He and Fabian Ruiz absolutely shut down the midfield and ensured that Spain's transition to defense was lightning quick, which no team except for Belgium was able to beat that defense. Low XG in every game against Spain. Oh, and of course, Kylian Mbappe wins the Golden Boot with 10 goals. Unreal tournament from him once again, basically doubling his total World Cup goal count in this one tournament, as he and Olise are a deadly duo. Olise with the most assists, which has never happened at a World Cup before, someone getting 7 assists, so fantastic stuff from Olise. Now, Spain. We have the start of another dynasty, my friends. They won Euro 2024. They have won the 2026 World Cup. And would you bet against them at winning Euro 2028? I certainly wouldn't, as they have consistently shown that they can adapt to a different play style and be successful at it. This defensive masterclass. Look, they weren't compelling to watch all the time. I'll be the first to admit, and that lack of excitement led me and many others to think that they lacked sharpness that would catch up to them eventually. But it's very simple for them. If you don't concede a goal, then you just need 1 goal to win. And forget about conceding against Argentina. They only conceded 2 attempts from Argentina, not a single one on target, which has got to be very embarrassing for them, I am sure. 120 minutes, 2 attempts, 0 on target. But granted, when it comes to Argentina, as we spoke about with Santi in the pre-tournament coverage, they wanted 2022 the most. They got it. This World Cup was a bonus in some ways. Now, the further you go in the tournament, the more that you want it, but still, they had their moment back then. Will be interesting to see how they do without Lionel Messi at future World Cups. But yes, this Spanish side, I think we have to get used to them winning. I think they at least match what the Spanish side from 2008 to 2012 did. Massive credit to Luis de la Fuente, who maybe wasn't the sexiest signing at the time for the senior national team, but his appointment has been completely justified. So congratulations to Spain. once again. Well, guys, that's it. The World Cup itself was 39 days long, but I've been working on content for almost 80 days. From planning to research to writing and filming and of course going over the edits, etc. Then when the tournament began, we had daily videos for you, plus preview and prediction videos, 32 daily recap videos, 51 videos in total from all of the pre-tournament coverage to this video right here, and 21 live streams to boot. So a big thank you to every one of you for joining me here. If you watched every video, first of all, I'm sorry you had to go through that. If this is your first or your fourth, it doesn't matter. Thank you for watching. The World Cup is my favorite thing. I love the challenge of the World Cup. I love the challenge of the daily videos. Who knows where life will be in 2030 when that comes around, and if I will be doing this still, if I will cover it to this extent. If I am, you never know, right? But I'm proud of the coverage for this one, and I hope it brought some value to your World Cup experience, whether you're a seasoned football head or you're new to the game and this helped you understand it a little bit more. So thank you for joining me. I'm going to take a little break. My brain definitely needs that, but I'll be back in not so long, my friends. So for the last time during this World Cup, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Be well.